Are those toothpicks?
Yeah. Right.
For a little bit of a... Are we rolling?
No. I mean, we can roll whenever we
No.
want. I don't care.
Yeah, but the
That's how we're gonna
context
do
of
it
this,
from now
where I think of like Little People Olympics,
Mhm.
the javelin throw.
The javelin throw.
It just pans to this dude.
Of Germany, his first attempt in the javelin in the F41 category. Well,
Okay, I love how the the guy was just like completely lounging.
There was another video made like that. I forget. It had to do with shoelaces.
Shoelaces?
I don't know. It was exactly like that, but... What? Your mic go limp?
These stands need to.
Working on a fucking $10 budget here.
Mm-hmm.
The hell is going on?
There we go.
On this episode, we're going to watch SAIED change the stand.
We're gonna order it off Amazon right now. The hell is this? Virus and threat protection. Get the hell out of here, bro. It's disabled.
We don't need no protection from no fire.
No, not at all. Yeah. Dead hangs have been screwing me up, dude. In a good way. I'm sore.
Oh,
Yeah, dead hangs. Was it Hormozy? You were telling me Hormozy.
Hormozy. What the,
Who's
Hormozy talks
Hormozy?
about business, bro.
Who was talking about? Or no, this was
Cortez. Alexander
Cortez. Yes,
Cortez.
Cortez. Cortez was talking about dead hangs and how they ultimately kind of just reform you into back to normal shape.
Yeah, amazing for your shoulders.
Yeah, crazy. I've been doing them. I did not know that my shoulder was that messed up, but turns out it's the lat too. So like the lower end of the lat.
Mm-hmm.
So doing dead hangs, yikes, bro.
Like it wasn't good for you?
It was because it was painful on one side. So it felt like something was stretching, especially near like the armpit area.
Yeah.
So when that was happening, I'm like, okay, something is definitely going on. Maybe I need to pay more attention. Maybe I need to do this daily. And then you were telling me about Cortez.
Daily, ideally. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were saying like, if it hurts too much, you can start on your toes and slowly release.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, I mean, think about it. Your body weight is just taking, you're dead hanging, right? You're using your fingers to just kind of lay there, essentially, your forearms.
That's the thing, dude. Every exercise has a progression. You start at the lowest level difficulty, and then you slowly increase as you develop more, what's the word? Capability.
I like this one.
Like a lot of people aren't able to hang just straight up off of a pull-up bar because they have too much weight on them. They're not strong enough, so forth.
Yeah.
So just start with your toes on the ground.
I already thought of a joke, but if you can't hang, there's a door. So get out of here.
Get out of here, man.
Chill people only. Because, it's the 2 a.m. podcast. And welcome back to episode 170. We are no longer in the 160s era. We have
Damn, bro.
upgraded.
Each 10 episodes seems like forever.
Mm-hmm. It really does. And it kind of helps in the way that you count time, too. Like this podcast has really brought the perspective of time, into perspective.
And then before you know it, we're at like 310.
Yeah.
So it's a paradox.
It is. Right now, I think the coolest things that are happening are we've been getting a lot more guest interactions. A lot more guests have been wanting to come on, which is amazing, obviously.
That's really where the juice is, I think, for the podcast.
Yeah, it's interesting because every guest we have on, it's a different vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's like there's a learning curve to it. You get me? And some guests, it's so funny because you'll see this a lot, sometimes even just normal guests, like you won't even have to be like a podcast guest or anything. You invite someone to your house and you've seen this guy or person interact in similar situations and then they come through and all of a sudden it's like, some part of engagement is missing because the room feels emptier, especially in a podcast.
Like what? What's missing?
Well, think about it. Logan went missing, right? When Logan was missing,
Mhm.
It felt like the episodes were a lot more quiet until we listened back and we were like, here it is. So
Yeah.
what you essentially hear in real time, that emptiness or that blank space in between breaths or people having thoughts before they speak, whatever, you feel like it's awkward. And then you listen back and you're like, nope, this sounds like a podcast.
It's interesting because a lot of the ideas that we lay out don't always make sense while we're saying them,
Mhm.
but then listening back on it while making, edits to the actual episode, it's like, oh, it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, bro. But I did stumble upon something very interesting over the weekend and have been like nonstop just reading about it. Even found a book about it.
I'm gonna love this topic.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to love this topic too, because I don't know how many people can relate, but sometimes you have these like little periods of time where you get batches of different kinds of pain. Okay. The most common thing in America would have to be chronic back pain. That's one of the most common things people keep getting treated for basically the rest of their life.
Mhm.
So along that and gastrointestinal issues and like inflammation in the digestive bowel, like irritable bowel syndrome, all that stuff. And surprisingly, migraines and back pain and shoulder pain, pain that
pain.
like
Yeah.
the things that we call like your basic headache or your basic migraine or your basic shoulder pain actually turned out to be not so basic.
It's the things everybody think are just normal.
Yeah. So here's like a little story. There was a little girl that complained to her father. She's like, my stomach hurts. So he took her to the doctor and they go and they find out that, she doesn't have irritable bowel syndrome. Her pee is fine. She like everything came back healthy, right?
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, okay, but where's the pain? Oh, it's right here. So they send her to a chiropractor and they do whatever, right? And then they fix that pain. The pain goes away. 2 months later, she's in and she's like, I have shoulder pain. Okay. So she goes to a chiropractor, gets that treated, physical therapist, whatever, gets it treated, comes back, and now she has like pain in her hip.
So it's just traveling to
It's just
different
traveling.
places.
Yeah. So it's the same body. It's just you're getting, and because we're not knowledgeable enough, we're not educated enough on this, you won't be able to see that this is a pattern. Like maybe this is just one pain signal that's being sent all sorts of places because I'm not taking care of one specific thing.
Mm.
So, and it's this thing, it's the mind body, bro. The mind body, the divided mind. It's when basically the pain that we think we get, right? Because we're not educated on it. We believe that this form of pain is only physical, so we get it treated.
Mhm.
So turns out that that's not true. That's very temporary. It's
Pulling
very
up a note
temporary
as
kind
well.
of fixing. What was that?
Pulling up a note as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's it.
So it's very temporary kind of fixing. It turns out that you actually are deeper than that as a human being. What you need to realistically do is find out what emotions are causing this pain. Because it turns out that all that pain, that chronic pain that we call your basic everyday headache or your everyday migraine or your everyday back pain, everyday ankle pain, everyday... Bro, it can be so many types of pain. And if anyone looks this up, there's actually a book. It's called The Divided Mind on all this stuff. And it's amazing in teaching you that forgetting about your emotions, right? So if we bottle up sadness for a really long time, it'll show up in physical pain throughout your life. Throughout your life.
Mm-hmm.
The first question people ask is, okay, what do you do? Like, how do you forever fix it? What's the actual fix? And everyone's going to laugh.
What is it?
Because if you really just read into this and just solely knowing this information that you are trapping something emotionally, your trauma is being bottled, you have some sort of, it's a mental battle. That's what it is. bottling that up and ignoring it, neglecting it, that kind of stuff, saying that it's not time for it, I'll get back to it later, all that kind of stuff, you're basically actually realistically making it shine in other areas of your body. That's insane.
So you're repressing the pain, and then it manifests in the form of a physical symptom.
Because your brain is not stupid. Your brain knows it. For example, you're dying. Your brain tells you to focus more on what? On the pain.
Does it?
For the most part. Talk to anyone that's, not talk to anyone that's dying. But if you if you listen to like, I don't know, any doctor that is willing to talk about like his own patients, he'll tell you 100% of them. The pain. It's the pain. And right after the pain, what happens? Death, usually.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's pain. It's suffering. It's, getting the last breath. It's bleeding out to death. It's a seizure. It could be anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it's pain. Pain signaling down. And uniquely, we should... Like, I had a feeling about this, and I'm glad I looked into this, and I'm glad this actually popped up into my life, because now I can dissect it and be like, I can understand these things a little bit better because it's going to help me. And if it helps me, it's going to help others, right? It's just fascinating to me that physical pain can literally be induced by your brain, either by the thoughts, it could be anything. So here's some clear examples of today. You lost your job, right? It's going to cause you chronic stress, emotions flying everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to that. What kind of person, like, have you lost a job before? Did you ever go through like a rough patch? Test yourself. Do you have any lower back pain? Do you suddenly have discs and you're like 24?
Anything that comes up quickly after a certain painful period.
Because I know we're young. We're supposed to be healthy, right? Something's wrong if you're walking into the doctor and you're like, my knees ache.
Yeah.
Right? If you were 24 and that happened, the doctor would be like, what? Okay, let's get you checked out. And it's not terrifying, but it's one of those feelings where it's like, I knew it. I knew it. You know how they tell you, like, psychologically, your worries, they're not as heavy as like physical pain?
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's not true. Right now, it's being proven that the opposite is what's true. Is that the mental is a lot stronger and will actually translate into physical.
Do you think it ties into the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me? A lot of people have this conception that words just like won't do anything to them.
It's not true.
It depends on the person, but words do have an incredible impact on your psyche, especially if it's somebody else telling you something negative.
It is not true. I don't think it's true. Because at the very least, any human being in the world can memorize and be memorable of things.
Yeah.
So you'll remember a certain moment, right? You may not be affected in the moment, but it could affect him 13 years from now. Right? To a similar.
Yeah, you'll
never know. That's the thing. Once you've seen something as a human, you can't really unsee it unless you go through Alzheimer's, go through something traumatic, you go through something that like knocked the wind out of you and you just lost memory.
There are dudes who dedicate their entire lives to building a business empire and getting to the top of the mountain, so to speak, just because their dad didn't accept them, didn't give them any like word of encouragement.
Yeah. So
literally.
Yeah. So that's unhealthy. That's not healthy.
Well, I mean, but would you rather be rich and on top of the world coping that way, or poor and fucking down and out?
Honestly, depends on the philosophy you have in life, but
sure.
I see your point though. Yeah. Why not be high and mighty when you're
crying a Lambo or a Prius? Which one are you going to take? Come on.
Crying a Prius, bro. What the hell? It's quieter.
Shut the fuck up. It's quieter.
Oh my God. Do you think an Aventador has 2 doors or just one?
Oh my God. It's got 4 doors. But this subject is fascinating because it ties into a book that I've known about. I've never actually read it. I've been through a lot of like review notes about it. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. And it was written by a Dutch professor of psychiatry at Boston University called Bessel van der Kolk. Quite a name. And he basically stresses that people who are suffering emotionally don't just suffer mentally, their symptoms also show up on their bodies. There we go.
Yeah. So, like, what do you think is? I feel like a lot of us struggle with this today. You know, people people I know, and they may not know because I forgot the doctor's name. It's the author of The Divided Mind. But anyway, it was according to his, like, everything that was documented was under his practice. Okay. It was his own patients. So he was doing hundreds and thousands of patients actually. And he got in to collect statistics around the nation, I believe, for even thousands more patients to get along on this, you know, for more experiment sake. And yeah, he's solving this. He said most people actually get fixed based off just knowing this information, reading the book, or just visiting me. Like, I would talk to them more than anything.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that insane?
Like, just exposing yourself to a new idea.
To some sense. To some new form of sense. Or whatever it is. New perspective. It's kind of like The Untethered Soul. Have you ever read that book?
No. But a lot of this reminds me of the work of Joe Dispenza, who is just a...
It's almost like
it's crazy.
It's like neuro spiritual. It's so weird.
It's all like rewiring how your brain works and like literally paving pathways within the neurons.
And doesn't leave questions behind.
No.
That's the thing. He leaves you like content and fulfilled, like you just learned a whole new universe filled with information. It's kind of like the untethered soul. It really tells you who that voice is inside of you, and that's not you. It's the same way that shatters that reality. And you're like, oh my God, I can almost do anything now.
You know what it is? It's like the first time you make, like, let's say you make 10K on a sale. You've always been a 9-to-5 person. That's just like, what? $10,000?
Yeah, because look how long you worked, how many hours and how many BS customers you had to walk through, and the management BS, and then people taking time off, and you collecting people's shifts. How much did it take you to do 10K of that stuff? Like, if you started off working at 16, 17, 18, bro, you can see the value of that immediately. You're like, whoa, I just made this in like less than a week.
Yeah.
This took me 4 or 5 years of doing this at Jack in the Box. I don't know why you're working at Jack in the Box, but
don't work at Jack in the Box if you're making 10K for 5 years, bro.
Yeah, do not. Just don't.
Yeah, it's insane though.
It is pretty insane.
It also reminds me that I mean, we've seen the videos of like holotropic breathing, the Wim Hof method.
Yeah.
Once you get into those deep states of oxygenation within the body, a lot of weird stuff can come up. People cry. People talk about like going through repressed memories, discovering that they were a victim of sexual abuse. Like, there's a lot of stuff that can come up from the subconscious. So it's just one of the great ways to tap in.
The subconscious is an interesting place, and I think it's the source of most of our complications or pain.
Absolutely.
Because we don't know how to give it definitions. Like, we know that, like, we hear over and over again, we have the conscious and unconscious mind. Okay. And if you're conscious, you're aware. If you're unconscious, it's unaware. But you can be conscious of the unconscious. So how do you teach that to people? That's one of the most difficult things. So we get into all these books, right? And I think, in my opinion, if anyone's actually interested in that, they should check out The Untethered Soul, because it does a great job within like 13 pages explaining what that voice is in your head, and that's your unconscious, dude. And taking control of that and all that stuff. But it's like, beyond that, there could be things. It's kind of scary in that sense, right? Because you're not going to be always in your unconscious, and you train yourself based on patterns and scenarios. There are tests that you could do to be conscious of your unconscious. And the scary part is that you're unconscious sometimes.
It's like catch-22.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you can't, as a human being, you truly cannot be lazy in a sense. Because laziness is going to affect everything, even your first initiation to practicing finding your unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought about that, and I'm like, if I was a lazy dude, I would just think endlessly, and there would be no action followed by it. So action sometimes is just even by thought. It's so crazy.
So what do you think is what do you think are some ways to tap into the unconscious or the subconscious, as it's otherwise called?
I think if you're naturally a curious person, you are in touch with your senses for the most part, and you use them for simple things like conversations or buying a gift or shopping for a car or working, whatever it is. It's being creative as well. It's because creativity has this like hint of curiosity as well.
I'm trying to think what is creativity at the end of the day? Is it just, it mostly has to do with your subconscious, because creativity is like insight.
It's
spark.
implementing an emotion into kind of like into something present, something that's physical, something that's...
Yeah, but is it something you can control outside of setting up your environment for it? Can you just create an insight like that?
No, you got to kind of... Well, here's the thing about creativity, is that you dig into your mind. When you dig into your mind, there's like... I feel like there's this state after your like the initial like mainstream ideas. You start to dive in deeper, and all of a sudden the room is shutting out.
Yeah.
It's like intense focus in that thought. I think creativity is just in that thought mode.
Like a flow state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially. And, you know, from there, you get to use your senses. So, like, you know, empathy. So, I'm an empath.
I'm an empath, bro.
Just don't be too hard on yourself. Like, it's kind of like things like that. It's your inner voice. Like, if your inner voice is trained to be like, oh, you don't deserve anything, you little sick idiot. You know, like you woke up sick today.
Mm-hmm.
You're just bashing yourself for being an idiot. Maybe that's the type of person you are.
Yeah.
No, you find, like, here's the thing, the syncing of things. So we've talked about this before. If you want to relax, you have to sync your mind with your body and your soul. Take it easy. Bring it back together. Same thing kind of applies here. You're bringing things back together. So your mind, your body, and your soul is always going to be number one. That's number one thing of, like, to be creative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have to be somewhat aligned. You have to be in a good state. You can't do things under pressure because they won't come out from the heart, and people will be able to tell. And you know that.
Mm-hmm.
So practicing that is already, I think, a good way to tap into the unconscious.
Mm. And to tie into the original topic, I think I first learned about the body keeps a score, and the whole idea of trauma being trapped within your body from Elliot Hulse. I think he was talking about bioenergetics and how you can tap into just your body and movement and training to get rid of all of that, to like loosen your psyche up. And the way he would do it is through, like, you just jump up and down and just like let every muscle and joint loose. Like you're jumping up and down and just allowing.
Like a ragdoll.
Yeah, like a ragdoll. And to the point where it actually has like this, what's the fucking word for it? This releasing effect
You can
on
call it,
your
like,
body, mind, spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the number one way to like get rid of that stuff is to, you know, Tai Chi, sprinting, lifting, swimming, anything movement based.
Yeah.
Because what's interesting, and if you look in the wild, I have to make a differentiation between the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic. Sympathetic is fight or flight. But there's an important part that a lot of people miss. Fight, flight, or freeze. A lot of, like, you'll see this in small deer that are being chased by like lions and shit, they will completely freeze up because they know they're helpless. And that's their only survival strategy. And what you'll see is that people also do that in traumatic events. And that is where all of the emotion is trapped within their body. Because where's the energy going to go?
Yeah.
They're standing still.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. Like the jumping up and down, somewhat like the beat of releasing that energy is kind of bringing you back to one whole piece. Like everything's aligned. So you're like, feel safe to do anything at that point. The psyche is insane. That's the main point of this, is that it controls most of all your complaints.
So crazy.
So, like, I hear this all the time, right? And it's like someone goes, man, I have a migraine. And I'm like, what did you do today? Oh, I worked. What happened at work? I always ask this. I'm like, what happened at work? And then they just be like, oh, nothing. Oh, actually, there's something annoying that did happen. And I'm like, what was it? And it was just like something to do with their boss and this and that. And they feel like misused and like they feel like they're doing more than they should be. And like all this stuff, and they're getting pissed. And I'm like, there you go. That's the source. You didn't sort this out. You just kind of like said, I'll deal with this later. I always had a feeling that was true. You know, that could be relayed true. That me holding on to that, like a grudge, kind of just bottling things up, whatever, unspoken, and just waiting for yourself to explode is going to cause you a lifetime of pain.
Yeah,
and again, we're talking about spinal cord. We're talking about discs being either inflamed or compressed. Yikes. Shoulder pain, neck pain, pancreas. Dude, we're talking about gastro-ulcerative freaking
annihilation.
Like, yeah. Bowel syndrome, incorrect movements, like all things are like hip pain, lower back pain, foot pain, heel pain, like all kinds of stuff.
And this is not pseudoscience. We know that stress alone is the #1 contributor to heart disease.
So
#1 contributor to all disease.
Not knowing, we just go to these doctors and we go like, oh, like it's just like we're supposed to be here every month. You know? Hello, I'm here to subscribe to my doctor. Yeah, I'm here to just get myself checked out. I have some hip pain this month. We'll see what happens next month. And you can almost assume something will happen next month. Yeah. Oh, he has the flu. Okay, he has some back pain. Great. You're flowing around like people's lives. I've realized when you go to physical therapy, you'll notice this. You'll see all kinds of people walk in. Okay, car accidents, construction workers, your average mom,
sports injuries. Yeah,
sports injuries, all kinds of stuff. And then you're like, whoa, dude, like, why is everybody always in here? Like, I've been there twice on like 3 separate years. Okay, for like a month and a half at a time. That's it. And my 3rd year, I still saw one of the guys there.
Really?
And I'm like, dude, is this like a subscription bit? And here's what's funny. He was just a construction worker. Didn't have any accidents or anything. He just has issues with shoulders, chest. Like,
yeah,
I
guess it's just such a like ingrained pattern in him that
so
it's got to go for that.
So
one.
like, think about it. You know, if someone is as healthy as that guy was, he was young, alive, chilling, had a great job, was fit, and still had all that. He was confused himself. Like, he's like, you know, every once in a while I'll just like switch body parts and I'm here for another thing. And it's like, that's not right. No. You know, because they do fix them. Here's the problem, is that medicine is fixing this stuff, but then you still come back with other series of pain. So what this doctor did from the divided mind is he actually was just like, hold on, we're going to start fixing this from the psyche down. Yeah. And guess what? The psyche fixed them.
The tough part
that's the insane part to me.
The tough part is, how do you differentiate between a symptom being just solely due to lifestyle and versus a traumatic event or trapped emotion? Because a headache, for example, because 98% of headache cases that I see, are just like dehydration.
According to him, an emotion is an emotion. Your brain is going to send a signal the same way it sends a signal. It's like a mechanism. Okay? Yeah. He was explaining mechanisms, and he was explaining this thing about automation. I do not recall, like, especially in detail, but something about the oxygen levels going into the brain and going into like other parts of your body as well can be shortened.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that sense, your brain goes into this mode where it just sends pain signals rather than signals for you to deal with these thoughts or deal with that emotion or deal with
Okay. Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's replaced. So in that sense, the human would be confused.
Hence chronic
It just
stress.
hurts.
Chronic
Something
stress
hurts.
yeah. Things that don't necessarily go
So
away.
that's why when you go to a doctor and like you'd be like, I just want a general checkup. And then you tell them, oh, like my shoulder hurts, very common. They'd be like, okay, great. Anything new happen in your life? And for most people, they'll be like, no. Like, what's new in my life? I just want to kill myself. Like, what's new? You know? Well,
Yeah.
okay. That's already the problem, is that you already just brush that stuff off. You know what I mean? You know how many times I've heard that? Where it's just like, dude, just shoot me today. Like, I want to shoot myself.
Too many times.
They don't actually mean it, but it's just like there's some hint, like there's an undertone of truth. And you're like,
Yeah.
you're negative.
People are going to
Your
tell you they're
outlook is-
hydrated. Meanwhile, they have like 4 coffees a day,
Exactly.
3 Dr. Peppers. I'm like, oh,
Dude,
okay.
if you're having 4 coffees, you better be having like what, 18, 16 fluid ounce bottles
God,
of water. But anyway.
fucking IV of water. Constant drip.
Yeah, just Camelback. That's what we're gonna start having on this podcast. Yeah, so very interesting. I think everybody needs to kind of like look into this because
Yep.
ask yourself, why are you running away from your problems? You know? Don't run away from your problems. This is something I'm trying to work on as well, you know, as a man,
Mhm.
as you are a man as well. We try to work through these things so that we stay men, if anything. Because if you don't, you're going to explode like an idiot. You're
Just
not gonna,
being a human being, dude. Like,
yeah.
understand how your
At
body
the end
operates.
of the day, yes. It's more understanding into how your psyche works, which helps you understand how your body works and why your body feels a certain way. What certain pain levels could mean.
Like, do you have any pain right now?
Yeah, all the time. I have neck pain.
Is it just nagging neck pain? Like, always?
Yeah, always there. So it's like, it's kind of like, oh, maybe there's something I need to sort through.
Dude, I used to have this gnarly fucking knot in my back, right in the middle of my back
Mhm.
for, what was it? It was probably a year. It would come off, it would like come and then go,
Yeah.
come and go. And I could never
You
pinpoint
feel like it's a
what
signal.
it was.
It's like Morse code. Like it's trying to tell you something.
Exactly. I could never pinpoint where it came from,
Yeah.
fix my posture, everything. And then eventually over time, I just realized like, this pain's gone. It's like gone permanently. I don't know why. But it certainly wasn't because of like any postural changes.
Yeah. See, now after this, you should be able to pay attention and see if it comes back. If it comes back, you'd be like, did I think about something recently? And then start tracing patterns. You'd be like,
Mhm.
what if I can trace a thought to this pain? And it'd be like, okay, every time I thought about this, within the span of 2 weeks, it like hits.
Yeah.
Something like that. And it's like, that's how I've been thinking. And that's how I've always kind of thought. It's just, I like patterns. I like recognizing patterns, and I can't help but recognize patterns, which is why I make a lot of puns. It's very, very simple for me, at least.
We like the puns.
Yeah. And then like getting it confirmed, you know, you talk about, you know, a bunch of doctors finding this out, and it's like, they actually have been practicing it
Mhm.
for their patients. It's like, wow.
Or at least the good doctors.
My
have.
first thought was like, I need to find this doctor. I need to go visit him.
Yeah.
I want to go visit him and see what's happening, because this guy is just, we need to protect him at all costs.
We need to protect him
swear to
from the
God.
government.
No, dude, I mean, think about it. Naturally, he's going to die soon. So
Yeah.
he's an older doctor, and we need a lot of that information. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know, but
Is it?
for me, for that, yeah.
Oh. I wanted to go into like, you know, we're big Mercedes lovers.
Oh, big Mercedes lovers, bro. I was telling
And we
Zaid-
literally just thought of the topic before we recorded.
Bro, I was talking to Zaid about because I dropped off my Benz this morning, and I was like, "Listen, it needs servicing."
Wait,
you
bro,
know.
you have a Benz?
Yeah, I have a
You have
Benz.
a Benz, bro?
Yeah, I do have a Benz.
Damn, you're high
Fine.
status, aren't you?
A little bit. Call it medium status, because we don't have the Lambo yet, but the Lambo comes after the 911 Carrera. So see Maybe even the GT3. But yes, I was telling him, I was like, dude, imagine. What was the last thing I said? Oh, imagine Mercedes made houses.
Ooh.
We were like going down this chain of like,
bro, go into detail.
imagine Mercedes made this, right? Like,
what would the entrance look like?
dog. It would be like chrome plated with an indent of like matte black. And it would have
Just
like
fucking Mercedes logo on the door.
No. That's not what it would look like. I think it would look like a fish tank, to be honest.
What kind of fish tank?
Just a glass fish tank with like a black roof.
Like the dealership in Newport?
It's a dealership. There's a what?
What?
There's a fish tank.
No. There's a Mercedes Benz dealership in Newport.
I'm
bro.
like, what are you talking about? How have I not?
Dealership for fish tanks?
I mean, that makes
What?
sense. You said Newport Beach, fish tank. I'm like,
Yeah, you can get fucking
shocking
12% APR on this goldfish.
Yeah, no, not at all, bro. No, but like, think about that, like an actual fish tank.
Yeah.
What dealership are you talking about? Fletcher Jones.
Fletcher Jones, the big one. I'm just trying to imagine that as a house.
Just picture my fish tank, bro. My fish tank that I own downstairs.
Yeah.
Imagine that, but like a building, and it's just like, I guess, kind of like a dealership. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly how it would be.
That's how, it's just a Mercedes dealership.
Now imagine if Mercedes made a jet.
Damn. I mean, we know how their sprinters look like.
We know that the Pagani Huayra
Ooh.
has an AMG
Ooh.
engine.
So sexy. There's. Ooh, dude, I'm picturing the stitching right now. The stitching on that stuff.
Premium.
Yeah, and we already know if Mercedes has a plane, there's no economy, dude.
Bro, Mercedes guitar.
Yeah.
Mercedes shoes.
Mm-hmm. Mercedes shoes? Ooh, fine, like leather. Wait, no.
Trying to
What
look
would
around.
the details of a house, like a Mercedes house, what the hell would that be? That'd be like a chrome-plated fridge.
I gotta search this. I bet you it exists. How much you want to bet?
I think an artist probably made like a interior design model of it, a 3D model.
This has to exist.
Mm-hmm. Maybe not though. AMG fridge.
AMG fridge.
Damn, bro.
Do you imagine some shit like this? Is that
Yeah.
too futuristic?
It's not too futuristic. Like I can imagine like a floating roof over your head with some glass panes holding it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can see that. Mercedes house.
Yeah. See, I picture like black chrome, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to Benz.
Sleek.
Very sleek, bro. I can imagine like a forest on the roof too. Like a mini forest with like Japanese trees.
Yeah.
Very nice. You heard about Suicide Island? What is a Suicide Forest?
The fuck? Where'd that come from?
Japan, bro.
Oh yeah. That's
You heard
where Jake Paul filmed the dead body?
Logan Paul.
Or Logan Paul?
Yeah. Which I'm surprised he actually got a cut. Dude, he got away with that easily.
I mean,
Well, not
what's the
easily,
worst
but,
that's going to happen? He just filmed a dead body
Yeah, but it went,
in
it went
a
against
forest that's known for suicides. Like,
yes, but it went against the fact that it was like for family and kids and it was on YouTube.
Yeah, well, everybody has an attention span of like fucking 2 seconds. Nobody's going to care.
Nobody's gonna. It's the thumbnail, bro. The thumbnail's like a who's this Pokemon? It's like a dead guy. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes no sense to me. At the time, it didn't.
Yeah.
And I was young too, bro. Like 24 out here.
Fuck.
And I still thought that shit was disgusting.
All attention is good
Yeah.
attention in this economy.
But then I saw this funny video of Jake Paul a couple days ago, and he was like talking smack about some fighter, and then he threw a pitch, like a baseball pitch,
Mhm.
and it took forever to travel to the dude's glove, and he thought he threw it hard, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like he's like, yeah, catch me on the. I'm like, bro, shut the hell up. Like,
Throwing is one of those motions that really doesn't jive with me.
why?
Like a full-on throw. I feel like I have some like shoulder. I just need to strengthen
Mobility
my shoulders
issues.
and shit.
Yeah, you do.
Build more muscle
You
around
know what
my
the
shoulder.
best exercise is for that for me?
Hmm.
The grabbing a
Overhead
stick.
press?
Grabbing a stick and then just actual doing shoulder rotations. Do like 10,
Oh, I do that
And
with the
then
bands.
widen the grip.
Yeah.
Once you widen, now you're stretching more of the outer. You get
Mm.
me? It gets your rotator cuffs just a lot more ready.
Supple
Stuff.
rotator
But
cuffs.
it's pretty sick, dude.
Coming to a dealership near you. Mercedes Benz.
Yes. Yeah, so we have a guest coming up on pretty soon.
We haven't confirmed anything,
We
but
haven't confirmed anything.
this is like literally last minute.
This was happening as we were setting up for this episode. So
Another guest.
another guest, huh? So yeah,
It's gonna be an interesting one. He's an interesting character.
100%.
I love that dude.
bro. But yeah, dude, there's a lot of things that we could be like talking about, and one of like the reverse thoughts that I've been having lately.
Reverse thoughts.
I have had a reverse thought, dude, and it's kind of like I was trying to be in the mind of a narcissist. Okay, and I'm like, what would that be like? What am I focused on? What are my goals? You know,
It's just all about you.
yeah, but what? You know,
What do you mean?
what is it about me? Like, what is it? Am I going to buy an AMG today?
Yeah, because you're so
That's
great.
it? Yeah, but what if you have no money and you're a narcissist?
Doesn't matter.
You're gonna buy an AMG? It makes no sense.
No. If you're a high level,
But it's me,
if
me,
you're
me.
a narcissist with high IQ, it's a dangerous combo. Then you can befriend people. Then you can get the AMG somehow.
No, I will have to humbly disagree.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like they have a much larger struggle that they won't talk about because they're narcissists.
But do they?
I think they do. Because we've painted narcissists to be like this robot that the Terminator has provided us with, right?
I gotta
No
see
emotions.
Keep going.
Just hard-headed, me, selfish as hell, doesn't care about anyone, emotionless, will never cry at a funeral, you know, like that kind of stuff. And I'm like, dude, why is it painted to us like that? I'm pretty sure narcissists could be like, the reason why they are narcissists is because they're holding on to something very deep in emotion.
Well, let's read the definition. Narcissism is a self-centered personality style characterized as having an excessive interest in one's physical appearance or image and an excessive preoccupation with one's own needs, often at the expense of others. I think, I could be wrong on this, but I think narcissism is
The desire to be humble.
very closely related to sociopath tendencies.
How? Well, yes.
At the expense of other people.
Yeah.
What's a sociopath? I mean, you can argue on the details. Maybe it just doesn't feel emotion. A narcissist does.
Yeah.
But
how do we know he doesn't feel emotion?
because we can test it, I assume. Usually the biggest serial killers
No.
are
Because I feel like
sociopaths.
knowing and feeling is different.
Okay.
You can tell me I'm angry right now, but I don't know how you feel. Truly. Give me a measuring scale. I have no idea.
True.
Is it truly sitting at 0? Like if I'm talking on this mic, these levels should be going up as I talk. If I have no emotions, right, and I'm receiving all this stuff, is it just at 0 the whole time? And it's just filling in? That makes no sense. I feel like there is.
You think maybe daddy beat them too much as a child and now they're just
Possibly.
narcissists?
They just have like a weight on them. or
I think
something.
that's very possible. Yeah.
But like it's like the longing to be humble. They just don't know how to be humble. Maybe have you thought about it in reverse?
As being a narcissist?
Yeah, like I am embarrassed to even ask how to be humble because I don't know what it is, but I have this feeling, and maybe it is humbleness, but I do this better, so I'm just gonna stay a narcissist.
I
This
think
makes more
a lot
sense
of
to
my
me.
natural tendencies edge towards that.
Narcissism?
Yeah.
Narcissism. Interesting.
But also, like, I don't have a problem being humble. That's the thing.
You'll see this a lot in people that are less generous, and I don't mean money. I mean like less generous in sacrifice.
Mhm.
So like how you treat your guests, or things like that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because, like I said, we are told like, oh, they have no emotions. Who said that? Well, we can test it. Well, can you feel it? No, you're going solely based off of words.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's my question is just like, how do we know that? I'm sick of hearing.
Look
like,
at their actions, I guess.
He acts like a narcissist.
Like if a serial killer who's a sociopath murders 15 people.
Mhm.
Does that person have any emotion?
Sympathy, empathy.
I don't think
Maybe
they have
no
any. I don't think they
sympathy,
have any of that.
But to say he has no emotion, that's where I'm like, what? No, he must have had some sort of emotion. There's no way. Is he lacking sympathy? Sure. As a killer, yeah, sure, he's lacking sympathy. They know what they did, and they just seemingly don't care. Now, when they go to prison for the rest of their life or whatever, do you think they're just emotionless? Like, they're just like, yeah, this is life? Right? No. I'm pretty sure they're feeling something.
But it's not what we think they're feeling.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know. It's just, there's no way it's borderline zero.
It could be.
We don't know, but it's just like, I'm saying, think of this in reverse for a second. Do they have a longing? Like, you know how we don't understand how narcissists can be narcissists?
Mm-hmm.
What if they don't understand how you could be a normal human?
Yeah. I think that's very possible.
We don't think about that enough, is what I'm trying to say. It's like, and that's kind of like part of my curious mind, I think. It's kind of like, don't stop asking questions, but maybe you want to feel bad, you know? Like the Ted Bundy. Was it Ted Bundy? Yeah, Ted Bundy, the movie with Zac Efron.
Yeah.
You start rooting for this guy, and this guy is just killing people left and right, right? In the most brutal ways, tricking them, that kind of stuff. But you're rooting for him. You're like, I don't want him to go to prison.
Because of how charismatic he is?
Yeah. And you're like, whoa, I'm being tricked here. So it's scary to me how you can see that point of view now. Like, I've been exposed to that. You're like, holy crap, I'm not siding with my own people anymore. That's crazy. This guy's a serial killer. What am I doing?
Yeah.
But somehow I'm drawn to it, right? You're like, okay, go back to normal societal behavior. And you're like, okay, yeah, that guy's a narcissist, crazy, psycho, wacko, right? But you are able, as a human being, to see both sides. And this is why I tell people, like, jury duty sucks, I know. But depending on the case, sometimes you'd be like, ooh.
How do you know what case it is, though?
They're spilling tea until you go. They tell you what the case is about. So if it's like a murder or something, you're like, damn, I get to look at pictures. Damn, you know?
Damn.
Like firsthand, you'd be like, all right, great, this is cool. But it teaches you a lot. You're like, I actually sometimes gets very difficult. You're like, oh my God, I can sympathize with a narcissist sometimes. They could be that good at it, right? You could be like, look at it this way. They are struggling so hard to find a way to be generous and humble and to care for people. They're shouting from the inside. And the only way they are shouting they can do that is by being a narcissist. Can you see that?
Let me try to think about this.
Can you see that?
If I was desperate for attention, desperate for love, desperate for community.
Yeah, I don't need any of that, so I'm good.
I'm trying to think if it makes sense to then compensate with. No, I can see that. Because you feel like you feel like your needs are not going to be met by anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So then you go into an extreme direction.
Yeah.
Where you just compensate your own needs to an amazing degree.
Yeah.
To where you'll hurt other people. I can see that. Yeah.
And I think the question would be like, if I was a narcissist, I'd just be like, why am I like this? Like, does that question not come up?
Why am I like this?
Does that question not come up? Like, we ask ourselves questions personally, like without saying it out loud. We just ask ourselves questions. I wonder. It's like, it's just something that I will always wonder.
You should become a narcissist for a month. Report back to us.
I'm down.
At a future episode.
Yeah. SAIED becomes a narcissist for about a month.
What is he going to discover?
Oh my God.
Find out on the next episode of
If It Isn't Narcotics. My God, dude. Yeah, it's just an interesting world. And as much as we have to look out for each other, we have to look, we have to look away from other people's direction as well. Because some people's view is just absolutely horrendous. Like a narcissist.
Some people on TikTok like to say our view is horrendous, but I disagree. Watch the full episode.
Exactly.
It should make sense.
Yeah, the only thing you should be viewing is episode 170.
Ooh.
Yep. because it has come to an end, unfortunately. But if you did like this episode, you can go ahead and check out the many others we have on our Spotify at the 2 a.m. podcast. We're also up at 2 a.m. on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube at the 2 a.m. podcast. Go ahead and check us out. Give us a follow. And you do not want to go to sleep tonight because that's all you will be doing. Anyway, anything left, Zaid?
Just watch it. Episode 1. Just keep watching.
Episode 1. I love that.
Dedicate your life to the 2M podcast.
Yes, sir. Watch us talk shit on Star Wars. Anyway, guys, we will catch you next time. Take it easy.